Hello, Painted Scars, and welcome to Metal Exposure. Thank you for joining us here today and for allowing us to have this exciting interview to talk about your debut in EP. I'm not Japanese, so help me understand. How do I say the name of the EP?
You can say.
Oh, sorry. I'm not sure how they pronounce it in Japanese either.
Okay.
I think it's Kintsugi, just like we
Kintsugi,
say.
okay.
So the DP comes from the Japanese, and it's actually a representation of how something that was broken can be repaired to be more beautiful than it was before.
Okay. Yes, I think it's something. I think I read it was something to do with repairing broken things with gold. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yes,
they use
exactly.
a special type of glue to repair broken pottery and stuff like that with golden glue, and that's why our logo is in the gold with the scars in it. So that's where we got the idea, and it represents a bit the healing of the minds of people who've had traumatic experiences in the past. Going through that and learning from those experiences, they become a better person or a more beautiful person from that.
And how does that sort of that journey, I guess, of embracing the imperfections reflect within your music and the journey of the band itself?
Oh.
Yes, it's actually something, I don't know. It was one moment I was writing our lyrics, and I saw this red string through the lyrics where I saw that almost all of our songs are about, like, you can't have the good and without the bad stuff, and you have life is in balance and stuff. And I saw kind of like, everyone has his demons, and you better just laugh with them and just dance with them instead of fighting against them. So that's kind of where the idea came from.
Fantastic. It's I found the EP really good. I've had it on repeat a few times, and it's been quite popular with my friends and family as well. I think that's partly down to the sort of the almost radio friendly sound that you've gone for. But what I really liked, and I don't know if you read my review, but what I really liked is that going for that more polished style can often push you over the line and somewhat isolate sort of metal and rock fans because they feel, it's too pop. And then pop fans also go, maybe it's a little bit too heavy. But I felt that you'd really managed to balance that, capturing that sort of raw energy that comes in there, which you've kind of talked about as well, but also maintaining an accessibility and a almost commercially appealing area of the music. And I'm just wondering, was that something that you'd really aimed for when you were making this, was to capture that balance, or was it just something that happened and it was just really by luck and ended up really well?
I think when we first formed the band was me, Yassine, and the other guitar player. And when we got together, we said, we want to do something like a hard rock style, not too complicated, keeping it simple. And we said we're going to keep the structure simple. We're going to try to make at least the chorus parts be a bit like something memorable or something they can sing to. So that was definitely something we were aiming for from the start. So I think that contributes to the fact that it's more maybe like you say, radio friendly, because the choruses are very much sing along. But we're still people who listen to metal and hard rock in general. So I guess that makes it, or that gives it more of the hard or the intense energy, like you say.
Yeah. How do you maintain that that balance and that style when you go into your live performances?
Good question.
Well, that's not. I'm not sure if we thought about that when we played live. When we played, we just played a song, and I think we throw a lot of energy into it. We've had quite some success with our live shows up until now, and people say they generally enjoy it live even more than on the album.
Okay, excellent.
It's very energetic, they always say as well. But I'm not sure if it's as much sing along as it is on the EP when it's live. I think it's a bit more on the high energy end when we're doing it live than it is on the album, actually. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, well, I hope that I get the opportunity to see you performing some of these songs live as well very soon.
Hopefully.
Are you from the UK or?
I'm based in the UK, yes, but I travel a lot in Europe, so I will make sure that I drop by one of your shows if you're not coming over here.
That would be awesome.
That's great. Thanks.
I had a quick question as well, because the vocals are of course very powerful and distinctive, and they carry a lot of the energy, and I'm just wondering, when you're writing the songs and you've got essentially a voice which is a very powerful instrument there, and some bands don't have the pleasure of having that level of quality, that can sometimes overshadow the instrumental complexity of the band. But I felt that you'd managed to find that balance. Was that challenging to do when you were writing the songs?
That's actually I remember the first repetition we had with our drummer. He came in the repetition and we played a few songs, and he said, "Oh my God, this sounds awful." First he was like, "Oh no," but then apparently I opened my mouth and I just was doing my vocals, and he was overwhelmed by it, he said, by then. And then he wanted to join the band. And I forgot what I wanted to say. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So he joined the band. She actually convinced him to join.
Yeah.
But how
he's playing so hard. I wanted to tell.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Okay.
The drummer adds all the energy as well, I think. But I'm not sure how we try to keep it so that she doesn't overshadow the rest of the band. But I'd say that has a lot to do with the way that it's been mixed as well. Probably.
Yeah.
I think that's an important part of trying to find the balance when we went to the recording studio. And he came back with the first mixes. There was a lot of back and forth going, like, oh, maybe we should put a bit more volume on the guitars or this and that, and we tweaked a lot with that to try to get it to where we thought it sounded best.
And also because Bram is a really, really loud drummer, so because he's loud, and maybe also Kevin, our backing vocalist, is also a really good singer, and I think also really powerful. And I think the construction with everyone in that way is making the balance of how everything is going through.
Yeah, and I guess as well, though, that may contribute, that extra volume and energy and so on may contribute to the way that people receive your live performances, and why you're getting that praise for the high energy and exciting shows, because you're trying to translate that into that live setting. And very impressive. I'm quite excited. You mentioned Kevin. I mean, and he's also on the guitars. Am I correct? So you've got dual guitars in the band, because that creates quite a strong melodic foundation in the tracks and in the album as a whole. And how do you kind of approach the division of the roles of the guitar within the band when you have two guitarists? How do you assign rhythm and lead, or does it just evolve naturally?
Well, I think when it comes to dividing who plays what, I think it's mostly when we're looking at the song as a whole. So when we start writing, it's generally for the guitar parts, it's either me that writes the song or Kevin for both guitars in general, but not always, but most of the time. And then we might tweak it a bit after that together. But then when we approach about who's going to do which part, it comes down to when we've written the whole song and we've chosen which parts to do harmonies on, where he sings as well. And so, but depending on what he's going to sing, and which guitar parts are there. We'll see what works for him best.
Okay.
Because it's a bit difficult for him to sing and play complex guitar parts at the same time, or when they're not matching very well rhythmically. It's a bit more difficult to sing, obviously. So then we would generally assign a more complex part to me for those parts, and then after that we just kind of divide it up a bit as we see fit. So, but the writing is there from the perspective of one person. So if it's coming to the how we write the harmonies or for the two guitars, it's generally because one person has written it. But then the eventual divide between the people, that's at the end of the song, to see what's easiest to play for him generally.
It's a very smart approach, and it's clear testament that you are quite close together as a band, that you're able to work in that way. And does that maybe contribute to, you kind of came together as a band during some, tough times for the world, and it was a bit challenging to build a band, and because I think as well, most bands, they grow from the ground up, and you go out there and you meet some fans, and you kind of evolve over time. That must have been very difficult for you. So how was that journey for you, and how is that kind of perspective from starting a band in a very turbulent time?
So we've known Kevin for a long time, and Kevin played before in another band named Circle Unbroken. And he was looking for some other people to form a band, and me and him, we wanted to start a band too. And because he's a good guitar player, we said, like, come on, let's start something. And then we had, in the past, before Painted Scars was a real thing, we had another drummer, a bass guitarist. We had several people, but it never matched really. So that was kind of difficult. Because the three of us had always this feeling like, if it feels good, we go for it. And you have to, And then first was bass guitarist Jens. He came in the band, and because he was so original with his bass lines, it was so cool. It was directly like, wow, you know the feeling. You can explain the feeling you get from someone. And then after, it was Bram who came in last, and it was with recording that we sent it him. And then he played a piece on it, and we immediately heard, like, this is the part we needed to on our song. So, and then he came by, and then we kind of. We felt everyone was really ambitious, like so crazy ambitious, actually, that we directly wanted to organize our own festival and just play.
I read about that.
And so it was, it's been a crazy year, actually. It's we've had some really difficult times because we didn't know each other, so you have to get to know each other too. So it was crazy.
I think it was because you talked about it being a difficult period. I'm not sure, but I think COVID was already over when we actually were complete. So with 5 people, I think it was in April 2023, and I'm pretty sure COVID was over by then. But like she said, we did know Kevin before that time. We were looking for to find the other band members to complete it, to make it full, but we didn't really meet up that much because he still lived in the Netherlands at that time.
Okay.
So we saw each other. We exchanged some ideas, maybe 2 or 3 times, I think, during COVID. But it wasn't really like the idea of Painted Scars was already fully formed, or it was a certainty that we were actually going to do something. It was only in April 2023 when Bram joined, and that was past the COVID period, that we actually settled on, we're gonna go for this. We had, like she said, one song, which was mostly finished, that we then sent to Bram, and he did a drum part on it, and he sent us a video, and we said, this is it, we're gonna go for it. We immediately recorded it then the month after with him, at home,
at
or
home,
like in a record, not in a recording studio, but like in a rehearsal room
Mhm.
with mics and stuff. And then sent that single to an audio engineer in Germany who mixed it. And we were like, oh, this sounds pretty good. Let's throw it out there and see what happens if people like it. And it had some good reception by the local internet magazines in Belgium.
Yeah.
And because we had this good reception to it, we then, like she said, organized the festival in August 2023 as a tryout show. It was actually going to be a tryout performance, but then people were like, why can't? I mean, like other people who were in the center where we were going to do the tryout show were like, oh, why don't we make it something bigger and we can help you guys? And it kind of became a festival suddenly. And then we were like, okay, we need to play a show in August. I guess maybe 30 minutes is the minimum to play. So I guess we had 2 months to write some songs. So actually all the songs that are on Kintsugi were written in the period between April and July, I think, because we had to rehearse them as well, of course. So it was a pretty intense period of organizing the festival and writing 4 additional songs and learning some covers, of course, to fill up the set, because 30 minutes is a long time when you play through it. And that was a pretty turbulent period, and we didn't really know each other that well. So as a band, that really formed us, where we immediately in the first few months had to see each other 2, 3, maybe 4 times a week, and in certain weeks leading up to the festival. And we really got to know each other very well at that time. But we were all very motivated because we were writing music and getting to know each other. But we didn't really know each other that well when we played our first show. And so it was in the period after this, when we received some more shows, that we really started to see each other as people, and we got to know each other. And so there were some tensions at the start, because there's different personalities. You're getting to know each other, getting to learn what annoys certain people, or what people are really insistent on, like being on time at rehearsals or stuff like that. So there were some tensions, especially in the earlier months, in the later months of 2023 after the festival, leading up to the studio. But then we got through that by talking, sitting together, like, how are we gonna approach this? How are we gonna approach each other as people, work together as people? And then through that tension that was there pretty early, we actually immediately worked through it and became better friends. So that was a really important experience for us. And now I think we're a pretty good team, and we know each other's flaws by now, and we know how to approach those flaws with each and every one of us.
Yeah.
That's super. I mean, that's a real whirlwind journey that you've been on there in such a short period of time. I mean, just meeting each other, releasing music, and actually organizing and running your own festival as well. That's pretty impressive.
Thanks.
And the fact that it's brought you all together as opposed to made you all go, no, I never want to be in a band again, is fantastic as well. So you've obviously found a good bunch of people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, the others are great as well.
I'm guessing this EP is just the beginning for you guys. And so what new elements or directions are you excited to explore in the future?
We're actually trying to keep our simple things, because we like to keep it simple, because people like simple things. Life is difficult enough, so and but we also kind of want to do some special things in some songs. Like we are writing a song right now for next shows and stuff with a didgeridoo in it. It's really, I don't know, it was a writing session at our drummer's place, and he has a lot of stuff like didgeridoos, piano, a lot of things like flutes,
Yeah, like weird flutes. You have to blow them. You have to put water in and then blow them. It makes like bird sounds,
Bird
stuff like
sounds
that.
like that thing. And we were just doing and we were doing, and he said, "Oh, you know what sounds nice on this?" He takes his didgeridoo and he started to brr, and it sounded really, really cool. So we had something like, okay, let's do sometimes silly and just throw it in. It feels good, so it feels good. So yeah, that's kind
So
of.
I was going to say, do you see yourself then sticking to the sort of hard rock and metal genre, or are you looking to explore, other areas as well?
Well, I think for me at least, I think I want to stay in hard rock or metal. But like she said, the didgeridoo. Obviously, we're not going to have a didgeridoo player on stage with us or anything like that. It's more like adding elements, well, like a bit of a touch to your songs. The didgeridoo is not really prominent in there. It's more it's like a single note spanning over a certain section, but it adds another layer to it. And if it sounds good, then we're like, well, why not put it in there?
Yeah.
The drummer was saying like, "Oh, I'll put it next to my drum, and
I will do it."
we're like, maybe. I mean, you can try it if it works, but it's not necessarily. It's not needed. Like I say, we're still a 5-piece hard rock band. We're not gonna get a bunch of people or like violin players or anything like that. No, that's not our plan. Not at this time, anyway.
It's still hard rock with some parts that are really heavy and a little rougher, actually. So that's kind of where we're going to stick to. Yeah.
Can we expect any more fun party anthems like Liquid Gold in the upcoming material?
Yes.
You're nodding there, yeah.
Of course. Just straightforward, so just really, really like we're writing a song now that is like gonna be 2 minutes and a half, but it's gonna be really just nothing too difficult like a Liquid Gold. It's really woohoo, just have fun, just
Yeah, we come up with riffs. Generally, it's the guitars that start with the ideas of like the general vibe of the song, and if everybody likes the idea, then we go with it. And I guess Kevin or me or both sometimes have like a certain song with a vibe that has a kind of a party feel to it, and I think that will keep coming because that's part of who we are as well. So yeah, we actually said ahead of starting to write that we wanted something, at least one song like Liquid Gold on the coming album. Because we like it and people generally like it as well. Liquid Gold was pretty well received by most people as well, and also live it tends to be one of the songs that a lot of people. It really gets people going when because it's about beer. So
it's a song about beer. I mean,
then
what could go wrong?
Exactly. It works.
Fantastic. Well, last final question: do you have any live events or tours or anything coming up in the coming months, or probably in the new year now?
You say.
Well, we're not having anything. That's like a tour or anything that's planned at the moment.
Not yet.
Not yet. We were playing with the idea before. We were like, maybe in 2025 we would like to go to like the Netherlands, maybe do a couple of shows there, then to Germany and stuff, because we do have some contacts. But there's nothing concrete at this point. So generally it takes a couple of months to prepare for anything like that. We also actually have contacts and friends who have contacts in the UK, but we've contacted them and they were going to get back to us. It's not sure yet, so it might be for 2026 rather than 2025. It depends a bit on how quickly we can contact the people we know, and also if we can find someone who can organize it, because we found, especially with like the festival we did again this year together with the EP, and it was once again a lot of work doing both of them at the same time. So that was really exhausting, and I think we want to focus now on writing new material so we can have a longer show, and that takes a lot of our time, combined, of course, with people who are doing stuff other than the band, because this is not where we get our income. And then that takes a lot of time. I think if we're gonna have to organize the tour ourselves as well, that might be a bit much. So we're still looking for someone who would be interested in working with us. We've had some contacts, but we're not really settled on anything yet as of this time. So I think at the earliest, if it comes through next week, we never know, and we start organizing maybe at the end of this or at the end of 2025, but we'll have to see. But nothing concrete yet at this time.
And any of our listeners, watchers, and readers, where can they find out about your future plans?
On our Facebook.
Yeah. Generally
on our Facebook.
On our Facebook, we announce a lot of stuff, and also Instagram, I think, is also linked to it. That's where we're most active. So if you want to keep up to date with what we're doing, just follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and YouTube as well, of course, if you want to, but that's not where the news comes through. So generally on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
Superb. Well, thank you both very much. It's been a real pleasure, and a pleasure listening to your music, and look forward to seeing what comes next.
Yes,
right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the interview.
Thank you for your time.